How Apuleius told to the strangers what he saw a juggler do in Athens. The other night, being at supper with a sort of hungry fellows, while I did greedily put a great morsel of meat in my mouth, that was fried with the flour of cheese and barley, it cleaved so fast in the passage of my throat and stopped my wind in such sort that I was well nigh choked. And yet at Athens before the porch there called Peel, I saw with these eyes a juggler that swallowed up a two-hand sword, with a very keen edge, and by for a little money that we who looked on gave him, he devoured a chasing spear with the point downward. And after that he had conveyed the whole spear within the closure of his body, and brought it out again behind, there appeared on the top thereof, which caused us all to marvel, a fair boy pleasant and nimble, winding and turning himself in such sort, that you would suppose he had neither bone nor gristle, and verily think that he were the natural serpent, creeping and sliding on the knotted staff, which the god of medicine is fain to bear. But turning me to him that began his tale, I pray you, quoth I, follow your purpose, and I alone will give credit unto you, and for your pains will pay your charges at the next inn we come unto. To whom he answered, Certes, sir, I thank you for your gentle offer, and at your request I will proceed in my tale, but first I will swear unto you by the light of the sun that shineth here, that those things shall be true, lest when you come to the next city called Thessaly, you should doubt anything of that which is rife in the mouths of every person, and done before the face of all men. And that I may first make relation to you, what and who I am, and whither I go, and for what purpose, know you that I am a vegan, traveling these countries about from Thessaly to Aetolia, and from Aetolia to Boeotia, to provide for honey, cheese, and other victuals to sell again, and understanding that at Hypata, which is the principal city of all Thessaly, is accustomed to be sold new cheeses of exceeding good taste and relish, I fortuned on a day to go thither, to make my market there, but, as it often happeneth, I came in an evil hour, for one Lupus a purveyor had bought and engrossed up all the day before, and so I was deceived. Wherefore towards night being very weary, I went to the bains to refresh myself, and behold, I fortuned to espy my companion Socrates sitting upon the ground, covered with a torn and coarse mantle, who was so maigre and of so sallow and miserable a countenance, that I scantly knew him, for fortune had brought him into such a state and calamity, that he verily seemed as a common beggar that standeth in the streets to crave the benevolence of the passers-by. Towards whom, howbeit he was my singular friend and familiar acquaintance, yet half in despair, I drew nigh and said, Alas, my Socrates, what meaneth this? How fareth it with thee? What crime hast thou committed? Verily there is great lamentation and weeping for thee at home, thy children are in ward by decree of the provincial judge, thy wife, having ended her mourning time in lamentable wise, with face and visage blubbered with tears, in such sort that she hath well nigh wept out both her eyes, is constrained by her parents to put out of remembrance the unfortunate loss and lack of thee at home, and against her will to take a new husband. And dost thou live here as a ghost or hog, to our great shame and ignominy? Then he answered he to me and said, O my friend Aristomenes, now perceive I well that you are ignorant of the whirling changes, the unstable forces, and slippery inconstancy of fortune, and therewithal he covered his face, even then blushing for very shame, with his rugged mantle insomuch that from his navel downwards he appeared all naked. But I, not willing to see him any longer in such great misery and calamity, took him by the hand and lifted him up from the ground, who having his face covered in such sort, let fortune, quoth he, triumph yet more, let her have her sway, and finish that which she hath begun. And therewithal I put off one of my garments and covered him, and immediately I brought him to the bain, and caused him to be anointed, wiped, and the filthy scurf of his body to be rubbed away, which done, though I were very weary myself, yet I led the poor miser to my inn, where he reposed his body upon a bed, and then I brought him meat and drink, and so we talked together, for there we might be merry and laugh at our pleasure, and so we were, until such time as he, fetching a pitiful sigh from the bottom of his heart, and beating his face in miserable sort, began to say,